Hello, God's beautiful daughters. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, The Beautifully Woven Woman, where myself, Alexis Piper, is your teacher. You're the vessel that God uses to walk you through to build, nurture, and edify your femininity fibers. For today's video, we're continuing in the vein of womanly woes and feminine famines. Womanly woes and feminine famines. How do you know that you need God? And we're building you up here. Okay, we're building you up here. And for today's video, we are talking about what's going on in my mind. If you've ever asked yourself, is my mind playing tricks on me? Then this video is for you. We want to let you know that the mind is a major, vital element to how you govern yourself, to who you and what you allow to govern your womanhood's operation system. Okay, and if you are wondering, is my mind playing tricks on me? If you are wondering what in the world is going on with my mind, how in the world do I manage this mind of mine? I don't feel like it's sound. I think my thoughts are out of control. This video is for you. Please understand these 3 points and the details that's going to go with them. Point number 1 being your mind is conditioned to being enslaved. Remember, this phase of your building process is to let you know that you need a savior. It's to let you know that when you're asking yourself those questions, is my mind playing tricks on me? What's going on in my mind? How in the world do I manage my mind? Those are indicators that you are crying out for help. Okay, if you can't get a grasp on having a sound mind, that is your avenue for knowing you need to walk down the pathway for help. Okay, for help, because your mind has been conditioned into a worldly, enslaved, oppressed place. And that shows up in your thought, that shows up in your perspective, that shows up in how you function, and as I've said, govern yourself. Okay? So in this, it's going to look like a double-minded woman. Okay? You're going to be a double-minded woman. You're going to say, yes, I want to go with you, God. Yes, I want to trust you, God. In one element, you're going to say, okay, yes, I've made my decision that I'm not going to be in this situation anymore. I've made my decision that I'm establishing boundaries for my life and relationships all across the board. I'm now saying that I am going to, set these goals and work towards becoming better. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself on one end of the spectrum. And then before you know it, another thought invades that thought, suppresses that thought, holds that thought under siege, holds that thought into enslavement, and then you begin to move in. You don't really know how to explain it, but you begin to govern and operate against those good things, those better operation systems. You negate your boundaries. You slip up and go back into dibbing and dabbing and what you said you weren't going to do. You somehow allow your mind to convince yourself that if you set boundaries, these negative things are going to happen. You've somehow allowed your mind to convince you under this enslavement of you becoming better, is that you have allowed yourself to say, well, if I go about becoming better, then these negative things are going to happen to me. And so you're double-minded. One way you're saying, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. Another, I'm unsure. I don't know. No, I'm not going to do it. One day your mood is positive. The next day and the next minute your mood may be negative. There's a double-mindedness going on, and it's the enemy's playground because you can't make a sure decision. Because you won't stay on the path of promise, provision, and preeminence, and what God has already is calling you into. You won't stay on that path of challenge because you're so caught up in what the consequences of walking in the path of challenge is going to get you. And so you continue to stay neutralized. You don't shift gears. And that's indicating that you're double-minded, and it's the enemy's playground. It's alluding that you are unstable somewhere. You're unstable. The instability is causing you to be tormented by confusion. The instability is tormenting you by damaging your thought processes, and it's keeping you in this area of how you are, your mindset is conditioned and oppressed, or maybe playing tricks on you. Is that now, because of the instability, you are now idle and complacent. You don't want to make a decision because you're unsure, you're confused. You've neutralized yourself. You don't want to, go towards the goal and walk towards the path of challenge and the betterment of yourself in and with God, because, or in any area of your life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially, relationally, in any area, because somewhere you've become complacent in how things are for you now. The idleness leads to complacency, which leads to you remaining in only what's comfortable. There is no stretch. You resist the challenge. And what that is communicating, I'm just here to point it out to you in love. So we already acknowledged the instability when you're double-minded, which then causes you to be idle, complacent, tormented by confusion, tormented by a lack of understanding, just tormented because you don't know what to do, and it causes you to become stuck, although you want to do something different. And then in this idleness and in this complacency of place of comfortability, what then begins to happen is you become gullible and naive. You become gullible and naive, and you may be saying, oh yeah, how so? How do I become gullible? How do I become naive? And it's because you are complacent and because you are idle. It's all aligned, okay? Because you're complacent and because you're idle and because you're double-minded, oppressed. Your mind is playing tricks on you. You need to get some control of this mind. You need to learn how to manage this mind so that you won't remain in this gullible and naive place. And this is how you are gullible and naive. You give into temptation. You entertain nonsense, foolishness, pettiness, immaturity. This is where Satan wants you. This is where the arch enemy wants you. We talked in our very first video about taskmasters, about the oppression of the world, the oppression of in the Bible, correlating it to the Bible of Egypt, and being heavy burdened and weary because you are oppressed and enslaved. And this happens because you're gullible and you're naive. You're naive, and so you give in to temptation. You give in to his words. You give in to what strokes your ego. You give in to what makes you feel good. You give in to moments of temptation. You give in to lying. You give in to gossiping. You give in to emotional spending. You give in to whatever it is that soothes you in that moment. You give in to having sex again when you said you're not going to do that no more, especially with that person. You give in back to the vulgarity of your language because it soothes you in that moment. And that's where you become naive by the lies and the whispers of the serpent, of Satan, of yourself that's working against the development, the growth, and the maturity, the mental renewal, the mindset shift. I pray that you're catching this. And so what that does, another way that you can tell that you are conditioned in this mindset of enslavement, is that you have creative voids. There is a lack of vision in your life. And the Bible tells us that wherever there is a lack of vision, that person perishes. You don't want to perish because you can't imagine bigger, greater, the will of God happening in your life. Yourself no longer speaking that way, acting that way, dealing with those people. yourself not being double-minded. You don't have that ability because you're so oppressed in only what you have experienced, only what you have known, only to the degree of what you can believe. And so there is a creative void and there's a lack of imagination. Therefore, there is no vision. So you can't travel the direction. Okay, if this is the vision, then these are going to be my steps that I need to take. These are the processes that I need to walk in, and the journey that I need to do. These are the daily tasks that I must be disciplined in. You can't do and create that hierarchy or that pyramid because you have no vision. This is why your mind is playing tricks of you. This is why you feel like you're going backwards instead of progressing. This is why you feel like your life isn't making any progression, because you have there is a creative void. You have no vision. And so every day is just an element of perishing. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it says really quickly, I'll leave this scripture in the description box below, but do not just watch the wind. Because if you get up every day and just twiddle your fingers and just watch the wind and just, go about same old, what are you really building? What are you really achieving? What is really developing? What really are you doing? But letting life pass you by. And then lastly, or number 3, okay, how do you know or what's going on with your mind? Your mind is playing tricks on you. How can you manage your mind? Number 3 is that the limiting beliefs are starting to stifle you. That's why you're not advancing. That's why you're not moving forward, because you have a lot of limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs can go in a various of avenues in all directions of your life. But I just want to touch on 3 limiting beliefs. They are all I got. They all I got. They meaning your friends, your relationship, your man, his family, the friends, your co-workers. They're all I got. And so if this messes up, then what's going to be left of me? Who am I going to have? Because they're all I got. It's a limiting belief that causes you to stay put, that causes you to remain idle, that causes you to remain complacent, that leaves you in a place of comfortability and complacency. Another limiting belief that stifles you is they need me. Raise your hand if you've ever said that, okay? They need me. Then you're telling yourself and you're shrinking yourself to only stay where you feel like you're needed. And then you become an enabler. And then you stifle somebody else's growth because you want to save the day. You put your identity in, and your mind is planted on, if I am here for them, then I have managed something. It's good to be there for others, but there's a line where you can become double-minded and idle and complacent when the instruction of God is saying, release. You are nobody's savior. You can't save the day the way that Jesus can save the day. It'll release a lot of weight off of your shoulders when you start entrusting people unto the Lord and positioning yourself to be free from people bondage. Another limiting belief statement that you will believe and say to yourself, which directs the actions and governing system of your life, is, it's better here. No, it's better here where I am. In this house, with this car, with these people, it's better here how it is. And you may say, why in the world would I say that? You will wonder how the enemy will play with your mind when God is calling you further, when God is calling you deeper, when God is calling you higher, when God is calling you to exit some places and leave some people, when God is calling you to maturity within yourself. You can easily say, no, it's better here, because it's what you know, because you're afraid, because the enemy doesn't want you to grow, because you are scared of the challenge, of the process, of what it's going to require of you to enter into something new, to try something different. And you'll begin to tell yourself and believe that it's better here. So I pray this video has been helpful. Come on, talk to me in the comments. Talk to me in the comments. If this touched you, if this tugged your heartstring, if this did anything, talk to me in the comments and drop a blowing head emoji. You know, the head emoji with like blow my mind. Because now you understand why you've been feeling like your mind is playing tricks on you. Because now you have a little bit more insight into what's going on with why you can't move forward, why you just stay put. You have a little bit more clarity or understanding. There's been a little bit more building in your understanding. Some things that's so simple, but maybe we couldn't pinpoint. It's simple what I've said, but it's the wisdom of God also what I said, and he comes to meet you where you are. He wants to deal with our mind. So if this is something that you want to be able to get a hold and develop a sound mind that the Lord gives unto his daughters and his sons, then I want you to write in the comments, renew my mind. Write that in the comments, renew my mind, renew my mind. And you better know that Jesus is going to meet you right there with some transitional tools for you. The one is, how do I know that I'm weary? How do I know if my mind is playing tricks on me? How do I know what I'm governing, what I'm allowing to govern my womanhood? How do I know when I'm weary? I want you to download that. The link is in the description box below, but I want you to download how do you know if you're weary, so you can begin to build yourself an even extent of understanding, a greater degree of understanding on why the things that were pointed out in this video are happening within your life. You may not even know what it looks like. This resource will help you see what it looks like. Once we become awakened, then we are able to do something about it. When we can't see it, what can we do? It's a blind spot. And the Lord wants to enlighten you and illuminate your blind spots. Weariness can be because it's a challenge and an issue and it's an oppression of your mind. Okay? All right. The second resource that I want for you, it really deals with the mind, and it is titled A Mind in Need of Renewal. Okay. A Mind in Need of Renewal. I want you to download that resource also. Your mind, if this video, if you touch renew my mind in the comments, if you type the emoji of the mind blown in the comments, backdoor that. We have to get past just the emotion of, oh yeah, that was good. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm going to drop this emoji. I'm going to type this in the comments, and then we need to step into action. Okay, the stepping into action is for you to actually come into the process now and saying, I am not gonna allow myself to stay stuck, oppressed, enslaved in my mind. I am going to do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to allow God to meet me here where I am, and I'm going to allow him to train me up and teaching me how to guard this mind and renew my mind. So renew my mind, A Mind in Need of Renewal, is the second resource, and it is also in the description box below. Listen, we have to no longer choose to live in the midst of mental manipulation by the enemy, mental molestation by the enemy. He's just robbing. He's just taking. He's just tricking. He's just deceiving. And this is your chance. This is an opportunity to say no more. You hear the slogan, not today, Satan. You may wear the t-shirt, but what are you doing about it? How are you incorporating the higher power, Jesus Christ, to come in and help you in your bondage? You're crying out. So now let's allow the Lord to meet you and to answer and to lead you into the path of freedom and deliverance. Okay? It's the woven woman system that transitions you out of living weary, worldly, oppressed, and in bondage to the promises and pathway of Jesus Christ, where you are able to live free, have a sound mind, navigate through life in a more healthy manner. God bless you. I love you. The Lord loves you even more. And I will see you in our next video.